It is time. Welcome. So thank you so much for joining for our Monday flow. Those that are live, but also those that will join later with the recording. So thank you so much for signing up and being a part of all this. It's a fun new way to keep connecting virtually over these interesting months. Okay, so if you are live, as mentioned, there is a playlist in the chat. If you're not, then it was included in the email I sent to you already. A suggestion for a block, but if you don't have that, then that's totally fine. So let's get started. We're going to start in a seat on the mat. And this is where the first instance you could use your block sitting up onto it. If crossing your legs is uncomfortable, feel free to sit on your shins instead. When you get there, just sit nice and upright. Find a nice comfortable position, long spinal column. And we're going to bring one hand to the heart and one to the belly to begin. Just allow your eyes to shut if that's comfortable. Otherwise, just soften the gaze to the ground. And take a few deep breaths right where you are. So today is the last day of summer of 2020. And so we're always in a constant state of transition every single day. But as we enter into new seasons, it feels rather final and rather abrupt. So as we say goodbye to the warmer weathers, we're heading into a little bit of a cooler season, but one that represents abundance. So we create preserves and jams and things like that from our harvests from the summertime to enjoy all winter long. So it's a time we can really enjoy the fruits of our labor. As we sit here just for about 5 to 6 more breaths, I want you to bring to mind some of the things in your life that you're currently carrying with you that you want to continue to carry into the next season. Some things you're grateful for that bring you joy into your life. And that also might mean that you find some things inside of yourself that you don't want to carry into the next season. So let's sit here just for a few more breaths of reflection. Allowing your eyes to flutter back open, we can release your hands down by your side. And continue to sit nice and tall. We'll bring a little bit more movement into the body, saluting the sun together. So as you inhale, sweep both arms up overhead. Take a nice big stretch. As you exhale, drop your right fingertips to the ground and lean way over. Inhale, we'll reach the arms back to the sky. Exhale, go the opposite way. Inhale, reach both arms up. And exhale, bow forward. Lengthen out the spine. Next, inhale, bring your fingertips a little closer to you. Shine your heart forward. Exhale, tilt the pelvis back, dome through the belly and breathe out. Next breath in, fingertips come behind, draw the shoulder blades together and lift the chest up. As you exhale, come back through center. Inhale, reach the arms overhead, nice and long. And exhale, go the same way, over to the right. Inhale, we'll rise through center. And exhale, big side stretch the other way. Inhale, reach to the sky. Exhale, crawl your hands forward, find length in the spine. As you inhale, hands come halfway back. Pull the heart forward. Exhale, rock into the pelvis, dome through the spine, and exhale. Fingertips draw back. Inhale, squeeze the shoulder blades together, lifting the gaze. And exhale, back through your center line. We're going to switch sides, and if you're sitting cross-legged, just switch the cross of your legs for a moment as well so we can even everything out. Inhale, both arms lift up. And exhale, we'll go to the left this time, reaching up and over. Inhale, rise through center. And exhale, go the other way. Inhale, grow tall. Exhale, bow forward. Inhale, bring your hands halfway back, shine the heart forward. Exhale, dome through the belly. Inhale, fingertips come behind, lift the heart. And exhale, back to center. Last round. Inhale to rise up. Exhale, drop the left fingertips down, reach way over. Inhale, lift through center. Exhale, we'll go over to the right this time. Inhale, lifting tall. Exhale, walk the hands forward, lengthen your spine. Inhale, shine the heart forward. Exhale, dome into the belly, rock the pelvis back. Inhale, fingertips come behind to lift the heart. And exhale, back through your center line. Okay, that's enough of that. Let's roll over the ankles. We're going to come to tabletop. That's your hands and knees. Just place the block to the side if you were using it. Okay. So right away in this tabletop, let's come into a little bit of cat and cow. So as you inhale, drop the belly to the ground, pull the heart forwards as the tailbone rises to the sky. And as you exhale, tuck the tail under, press every bone to the sky like your Halloween cat. Inhale, pull the heart forwards, a little squeeze behind the heart with the shoulder blades. And exhale, dome through the back, spread the shoulder blades apart. Do this for a few more breaths and really try to link the movement in with your breath. You can let the eyes close again. And maybe even start exploring some less lateral movement, less forwards and backwards, but a little bit of side to side, some barrel rolls, perhaps with the rib cage. If there's any little areas in your body you just need to work into for a moment, feel free to explore that. Progress is not always a step forward. Sometimes it goes a little bit side to side. We're going to come back to stillness in your tabletop. Let's kick out the right toes behind you all the way and then tap them to the ground. We're going to pivot your left shin onto an angle, create a kickstand, kick it out, and roll onto the inside of your foot. We're coming into a variation on side plank. The whole foot of your right foot is on the ground, toes face forward, and reach the right arm up to the sky. Take a couple of breaths right where you are. Start thinking a little bit lighter thoughts on your bottom hand. Come up to tented fingers. And then eventually pressing all the way up. You're on your left shin and the right leg is extended all the way out. Keep that right hand on your leg. Left arm reaches to the sky, and we're going to do a big side stretch over in gate pose. Take a look up at the ceiling and a couple breaths into the left rib cage. Now take that hand that's lifted, we'll bring it back to the ground under the shoulder and the right arm back to the sky. Take a moment here and then consider floating the right foot off the ground straight out from the hip. All right, so it's kind of like we're in a half moon pose, but on our knees. We can call this quarter moon today. Let's bring your right hand down under the shoulder. As you take a big step forwards with that right foot, step it wide on your mat. So you're in a big, long, low lunge. Both hands will come to the inside of your front foot. So the right foot's all the way to the edge of the mat. Lean into your left palm a lot, enough that you can take your right palm and place it on the inside of the right knee. The inside of your right foot might also fall open here. Spin your heart to the right. So you're finding a bit of a twist. Take a big breath in. And as you breathe out, look down at your left hand as you drop your right shoulder to the ground. Inhale, peel the heart to the right, open up. Exhale, drop your right shoulder, look down. Do that a couple more times with breath, shimmying your shoulders, finding a little bit more opening into the hips. Eventually bring both hands back to the mat. Press firmly through the palms. You can sweep the right leg back behind you. If you're in a slanted sort of tabletop here, we'll lower all the way down to your stomach. When you get there, point your toes, squeeze your glutes, roll your shoulder blades together. Inhale, lift the chest part way for baby cobra. And exhale, lower back down. Let's do 2 more of those. Inhale, lift the heart. Exhale to lower. And last round. Inhale. And exhale. Press your hands into the mat. Send your hips to heels in a quick child's pose for 2 breaths. Keep your arms active, reaching them forward. Find a little lift under the arms. You stretch out both sides of the body. Let's rise on back up to table. And we'll get ready for the other side. Send your left toes all the way back behind you. Tap them to the ground. Your right shin's going to create that angle, kick it out to the right, and then pivot and drop your heel as the left arm floats up. So we're starting on this variation of the side plank again. Make sure you're nice and supported with that bottom hand. Keep a nice strong gaze up towards the ceiling. Get a little bit lighter on your bottom hand, maybe puffing up to the fingertips. Reach up enough at the top hand that you're going to lift all the way up, and your left hand finds your left leg. Toes face forwards with that foot. Right arm reaches to the sky. Find a big lateral bend over. Pause for a breath or 2. Bring your right hand right back under the shoulder where you started. Left arm reaches to the sky. You might consider floating that left foot off the ground again in line with the rest of your torso. Keep a nice active leg here. Peel the toes back. You're charging through the heel. And now our next transition is going to be into that low lunge. So bring the left hand back under the shoulder, a big wide step with your left foot, bringing it forward, and then make any adjustments necessary here so both hands come onto the inside of your front leg. Lean into your right hand. The left palm finds the inner left knee, and the foot spins open. Take a big breath in this twist. As you exhale, drop the left shoulder down, look to the ground. Inhale, open the heart to the left. Exhale, lower down. 2 more. Find that rhythm inside of you, work with it. Eventually, both palms find the ground. Press firmly through them so you can swing your left leg back and the knee finds the ground. We'll lower all the way to your stomach again. Point the toes, hands lightly by your sides. You're activating your back body. Inhale to lift the chest part way, baby cobra. Exhale, lower back down. Inhale to wave up. Exhale, lower. And last one. Press firmly through the palms. Bring your hips to heels for a quick child's pose for 2 more breaths. Pulling with the hands, rising up to table. At this point, let's tuck the toes underneath. Press your hips all the way up and back to downward facing dog. Take a moment here. You can pedal through the feet, sway the hips, and really try to notice the mat that's below your hands. So spread those fingertips wide. Press the finger pads, the knuckles, and the palms all into the ground. Start getting familiar with this shape, our downward facing dog. Start getting heavier in the heels again, stillness into the legs. As you inhale, let's ripple the spine forwards, bring shoulders over wrists in plank position. And as you exhale, lift the hips up and back again for downward facing dog. Inhale, ripple forward, shoulders over wrists. And exhale, lift the hips high, downward facing dog. Inhale, ripple forwards to plank. Exhale, you choose. Either bend the elbows to chaturanga or to your belly. Inhale for upward facing dog or baby cobra. And exhale, we'll all meet in downward facing dog. Widen your feet about as wide as the mat. We're going to start walking your hands backwards towards your feet while you start to bring a bend into the knees. So start sitting all the way back. We're arriving in our yoga squat malasana. The hips lower down. Maybe you can perch yourself up if it feels a little too far down. Otherwise, your palms might explore coming to heart center and pressing the knees apart with the elbows as the elbows push back into the knees. Try to find a little bit more of a lift into the spine. Take a couple of breaths right where you are. Bring your fingertips back to the ground. We'll start walking them back forwards for downward facing dog. And bring your feet back to hip distance. This time, take a look way forwards ahead of you and tiptoe to meet the hands. When you get there, keep a nice heavy spine, heavy head. You could let the fingertips dangle or hold on to opposite elbows. Using your next breath in, lengthen through the spine from tailbone to crown, halfway lift. Exhale, float back down. Press through the feet. Inhale, sweep your arms up overhead. And exhale, hands can come down beside you for mountain pose. Pause here for a moment, feel your feet below you. Next, inhale, sweep your arms up overhead. And exhale, from the waist, fold forward. As you inhale, send your right toes all the way back behind you into a lunge. And exhale to lower the knee to the ground. Now, if you have sensitive knees, I'll recommend just doubling over your mat for a moment. As you inhale, reach your hands up overhead, palms come to touch. And as you exhale, bring the hands down to the ground, send your hips back slightly so you start straightening your front leg. It doesn't need to go all the way straight. Let's flow between those two. Inhale, come forward, bend the knees, arms rise overhead. And exhale, touch the ground, send your hips back, opening up the hamstring. Just one more like that. Inhale into your lunge, arms rise. And exhale, touch the ground, send the hips back. We'll bend back into your front knee, press the hands into the ground and step to downward facing dog. Inhale, ripple forward, shoulders over wrists. And exhale, lower. Once again, you choose belly or to chaturanga. Inhale for baby cobra or upward facing dog. And exhale, meeting in downward facing dog. So every flow, feel free to modify. Do what feels really nurturing in your body. And sometimes that might mean skipping the flows as well. Enjoying a moment in stillness for one more breath. Next breath in, reach the right heel back behind you for a three-legged dog. Open up the hip and bend into the knee for a moment. We're going to take a big step forward. Swing your right foot, step between the hands. Steady your feet here, press through them, rise all the way up for a high lunge. When you arrive, take hold of your left wrist, pull that side a little bit taller, inhale, and as you exhale, sway the body over to the right for a lateral bend. Inhale, lift back through center, release the palms, and exhale, touch the ground. We're going to spring all the way forward, both feet meet at the top. Inhale to lengthen the spine, lifting halfway, and exhale, float back down. Root through the feet to rise to stand, inhale, and exhale, hands can come down beside you. Let's do that again on the other side. Inhale, arms float up above your head, and exhale, float forward. Inhale, lunge the left leg all the way back behind you, and exhale, lower the knee to the ground. We'll find this flow 3 times. Inhale, arms reach overhead. Exhale, touch the ground. Start straightening the front leg as much as you wish. Inhale, bend into the knee, arms rise up. And exhale, straightening out that front leg. Inhale, bend forwards, rise on up. And exhale for your hamstring stretch. We'll bend back into your front knee, plant the palms, and we're stepping back for downward facing dog. Inhale, ripple the spine forwards to plank. And exhale, you decide where you want to lower to. Inhale for your back bend of choice. And exhale, downward facing dog. Pause here for about 3 breaths. And if you still need some movement in the legs, feel free to do that. Find exactly what you need in this moment. Follow your next breath in. Reach the left heel up overhead. 3-legged dog. We're going to open the hip up again and bend into that knee. Swinging your left foot all the way forwards, a big lunge, step between the hands. Press through the feet to rise on up, high lunge. Find your right wrist. Pull that side a little taller, inhale. And exhale, sway the body to the left for a lateral bend. Inhale, rise through center, release the wrist. And exhale, touch the ground. We're going to spring forwards, bring both feet together. Inhale, find length through the spine. Exhale, float back down. Rise all the way up as you inhale. And exhale, hands come down beside you. Inhale, float the arms overhead. And exhale, hinge forward. Inhale, find length, tailbone to crown, halfway lifting you. Exhale, touch the ground, and we're going to step both feet back to plank. Take a breath in and plank. And exhale, we'll lower down to your stomach or chaturanga. Inhale through your back bend of choice. And as you exhale, we'll meet in downward facing dog. From this downward facing dog, let's lift the right heel back behind you. Open up the hips and bend into the knees. We'll hang out here for a breath or two. Pull the heel down closer to your glute as you reach the knee a little bit higher. Plant the palms really firmly into the mat to help support you. Now we'll do a big unwind, sending your right foot all the way forwards between your hands. Pivot and drop your back heel right away because we're going to come up into warrior two. So leading with the left arm, reach it up to the sky and all the way back behind you. Warrior two. Land here for a moment, feel the architecture of this pose. A really nice bend in that front knee, fierce gaze over your front fingertips, and really ground it into both feet. We'll sway it back to reverse the warrior. Left hand touches down as the right arm reaches to the sky. Continue reaching that hand back behind you. Everything stays the same on the upper half. So on the lower half, let's straighten your front leg. Now you're so long on the right side. Take your right arm, reach way forward as your hips draw back. We're preparing for triangle pose. Lower the right hand down to the inner right leg as the left arm floats above. From our triangle pose, let's turn this into extended side angle. So bring a little softness to your front knee, bend all the way into it, and you might shelf your forearm right there, or the hand could go all the way down to the inside of your foot. While we're here, bring your left arm over here so you stretch all the way from your back foot through your fingertips overhead. Good, so let's do those fun little transitions, linking them all together again. Come back up for warrior two. Inhale, reverse the warrior. Now we're going to straighten out your front leg. Keep all that length in the right side body, reach the arm forward, hips draw back, and then lowering your right hand down as the left arm floats up for triangle. Heading towards our extended side angle, bring softness into the right knee. Perhaps you shelf the forearm, then lengthen that arm over your ear. Reach to the front of the room. Reversing back just to warrior two. Okay. Bring the hands down to the ground, frame your foot, and step back for downward facing dog. You can stay right here, find your breath for a few moments, or join me for a flow. Inhale, coming forwards to plank. Exhale, lower wherever you like. Inhale for your back bend. And exhale, downward facing dog. Other side. Inhale to lift the left heel up overhead. Open up the hip and bend into the knee. Explore that for a moment. Draw the heel down as the knee reaches up. Now, press the palms into the mat. Swing your left foot forward, stepping between the hands. We're going to come up into warrior two, so take your right heel, bring it to the ground. Reaching with the right arm forwards, let it lift you to warrior two. Sit into those legs for a moment, nice and heavy into the mat. Let's reverse this shape. Left arm reaches to the sky. Stay here for a moment. Stretch out through the left side body. We'll begin straightening the left leg. Keep the arms where they are. Feel that length you still have there. Take that with you as you pivot the hands forwards, reach the hips back behind. And then we'll reach the left arm down as the right arm goes to the sky. We'll start bringing that softness into the right knee again. Bend it, shelf the forearm, or bring the hand down to the ground and reach the right arm over the ear. Coming back up for warrior two, and we'll link it together just a little bit smoother for these fun transitions from pose to pose. Inhale, reverse the warrior. Straighten out your front leg. Reach way forward, hips draw back. Pivoting into triangle pose. Bring softness into the front knee, bend it, shelf the forearm, reach your hand way overhead away from you. And eventually rising back up for warrior two. Take the hands down, touch the ground, stepping back for downward facing dog. Got a decision to make again, either pausing for a few breaths or join me for a flow, inhaling forwards to plank and exhale to lower. Inhale for your back bend of choice. Exhale, taking you to downward facing dog. Let's lift the right heel up overhead. Once again, we'll explore that feeling of opening the hip up and bending into the knee. Right away, a big step forwards between the hands. Just as last time, pivot and drop your back heel, and we're going to float the arms up for warrior two. Good. As we're here, take a big breath in, and then we're going to straighten your front leg, and then start bending your left knee. Bring your hands down to heart center. So a little side lunge. Inhale, come forward, bend into the right knee, hands come for warrior two. And as you exhale, straighten the front leg, bend the left knee, hands come to heart center. Couple more like that. Inhale, warrior two. Exhale, bend the opposite knee, hands come down. Just about a couple more here. Be very mindful of your knees, that they and your toes are agreeing in which direction they're facing. The next time you bend the left knee, so that's the one that's back, bring your hands down to the ground and let yourself support yourself until you come all the way to a seat. So we've got your right leg, that's the long leg, facing somewhere close to the top of the mat. So bend in your left knee, and let's bring the sole of the foot somewhere on the inseam of your extended leg. Take your right hand, we'll reach it down the inseam of your right leg. Left arm's going to reach all the way up, and a big side stretch over. Imagine one day that hand might take hold of your big toe. We'll start reaching that top arm up again and bring it back behind you, fingertips point away. Point the toes of the extended leg. Start sending your weight onto the shin of your left leg and sweep the right arm forwards. Lift the heart and maybe the hips as well. And let everything sink back down to the ground. Realign yourself slightly so you face your right leg and face the top of the mat. Take the left leg and you're going to step it onto the ground on the opposite side. Continue to lean into the left palm. Reach the right arm to the sky, a big breath in here. And as you exhale, bring the elbow behind me. Grow taller with every inhale and rotate slightly with the exhale. We'll start releasing the side. Just take a moment, look the opposite way for one breath. And bring yourself back through center. Easiest way to get out of this is just to swing those legs back around behind you, bring the palms to the ground, and step back for downward facing dog. Inhale, come forwards to plank if you'd like a flow, and exhale, lower to the belly or chaturanga. Inhale for your back bend of choice, and exhale takes you to downward facing dog. Take a big breath in, reach the left heel back behind you. For a moment, open up the hip and bend into the knee. Take a big step forward between the hands. Prepare ourselves for warrior two by dropping the back heel down. Reach with the right arm up and back for our warrior two. So sometimes life takes us into some unexpected places. Let's find that again. In our warrior two, straighten the front leg, and then bend the right knee, hands come to heart center for a side lunge. Come back forwards, reach the arms out, warrior two. Coming back, bring the weight into the right foot for your side lunge. And transitioning back, warrior two. About two more of those. Pressing the weight forwards and backwards, being very mindful of the knees as you do so. Finding a lot of strength in your inner legs here for this sort of control. The next time your right knee bends, this is where we start to lower even more. Hands start coming to the mat until you find your feet onto the ground. The left leg is now the one that's reaching long and the right knee is bent. Face somewhere between those two legs that are coming out of you. Your left hand reaches down the inseam of the left leg. Other arm reaches up and over for a big side stretch. Take that top arm, bring it to the mat behind you, fingertips point away. Activate your left leg by pointing the toes. Start sending your weight onto the shin of the bent knee. Sweep your arm forward, lift the heart, maybe the hips as well, just for a moment. And when you're ready, we'll come back down to your seat. Let's start shifting so you face the front of your mat. And your right foot this time steps onto the opposite side of your extended leg. Lean back into your right palm. Reach the left arm to the sky for a big breath in. And as you exhale, bring your elbow behind the knee. Grow taller with the inhales. Rotate with your exhales. We'll begin to rotate out of this. Look the other direction. And back through center. Start swinging those legs around to the side. Palms find the ground and we'll step back for downward facing dog. An optional flow if you'd like to take it here. Inhale, coming forwards to plank. And exhale, lowering down. Inhale for your back bend. Exhale, taking you to downward facing dog. Flip the right heel back behind you, three-legged dog. Open at the hip, bend into the knee. Swinging that foot forward, step it between the hands, dropping your back heel, and we'll windmill those arms open for warrior two. Okay, so you may want to have a block close by for this next move, but it's not necessary. So if you do have one around, just keep it within sight. We'll reverse this warrior. Left hand touches down so the right arm reaches to the sky. Now reach your hands back out for warrior two. We're going the other way, but we're heading towards half moon pose. So reach for the ground or your block a couple feet ahead of your front foot. Start sending that weight into your right foot. Lift the left toes up and kick through the heel to the back of the room. Your hand is either right under the shoulder on the block or on the ground. Stay strong here. Kick through that heel, lift the hand a little bit taller. And with as much control as possible, we'll send ourselves back for warrior two. Good. Straighten out your right leg again. And this time we'll pivot the toes to the long edge of the mat. Bring your heels in slightly on an angle and squeeze your glutes as you bend your knees. So toes and knees once again to agree on the direction that they're going. Reach your arms straight out from side to side, palms face forward. Reach over to the right, reach over to the left. Continue to go back and forth a few times here, staying really rooted into the feet, finding that length and strength on both sides of the body. Eventually, we'll release the arms, straighten the legs, pivot the left toes back to the long edge of the mat. So your right toes are free to go to the top of the mat and will bend into your warrior two legs. Bring the hands to the ground, cartwheel down, step back for downward facing dog. Optional flow for you. Inhale, come forward through plank. Exhale, lower on down. Inhale to lift the heart. As you exhale, we'll make our way back, downward facing dog. All right, last flow of the series today. Inhale for the left leg to lift up. Bend the knee and open the hip for a moment. Take a big step forwards between the hands. Open our legs up for warrior two. Reach those arms up and back. Give yourself a moment to arrive. We'll start with a big reverse. Inhale, get long through the left side body. Now as you start reaching back forward, start sending your weight into your left foot. Gaze for the ground or your block a couple feet ahead of your left foot. Drag your back toes behind you and eventually lifting that right leg up as the right arm reaches to the sky. Hips are nice wide open here. One more breath. And eventually reaching the back leg back for warrior two. Straighten your front leg, pivot those toes back forwards, a little bit of an angle into the legs. So when you bend the knees, nice wide open hips. This time around, arms reach out, but a little bend in the elbows. Let's sway the body over to the right. Bring your arms with you for a lateral bend. And then we'll go the other way. Arms are just going to windmill back and forth. Do one more on each side. Always ebbing and flowing. Come on back through center. We'll straighten the legs out. Turn yourself back into warrior two legs. So right toes turn in, left toes turn out. Bend into your left knee. Cartwheel the hands to the ground. And we'll step back for our final flow. Inhale, come forwards to plank. Exhale, lower. You decide where you go. Inhale for your back bend. Exhaling, to downward facing dog. Let's all come forwards to plank and lower down to your stomach. Give yourself a moment down there. Bring a little pillow under your forehead with the hands or one ear to the mat. Allow yourself to take a few deep breaths as you settle in. Let's work on opening up our shoulders for a moment. So in this prone position, we're going to take your right arm and reach it all the way out to the right, so straight out from the shoulder. Bring your left hand just under the shoulder with a bend in the elbow. Bend into your left knee. We're going to start pressing the left hand into the mat. So you roll onto your right side body, and that left foot can just be a kickstand behind you for support. So really finding a nice big stretch into the front of the shoulder and the pec region. Stay here for about 2 to 3 more breaths. We'll start rolling back to the front of the body, going right away into the other side. So extend the left arm out. Right hand this time under the shoulder. Bend into the right knee and start pressing yourself onto the left side of your body. Give yourself that kickstand again with the foot finding the ground. And we'll start rolling back to your stomach. Let's lift your chest up enough that you can come onto your forearms and finding Sphinx position. The shoulders are right on top of the elbows. Fingertips spread wide, facing forward. And then imagine energetically you're pulling your hands back towards you as you shine your heart closer to the top of the mat. Keep the shoulders relaxed away from the ears. And we'll release some of that work you just created. Take your right fingertips and we're going to bring them behind your left elbows, just pivoting them so that it's parallel with the top of the mat. Do the same with the other one and it'll come in front. Start walking your hands a little bit further away from you until your arms are so crisscrossed, they're shoelace arms, and then you can just rest your chin onto the upper arms for a moment. You're spreading those shoulder blades nice and far away. We'll start inchworming our way back nice and slowly. And let's arrive once again back in Sphinx position. Find that energy again as you pull the heart forwards, fingertips draw back slightly to deepen the back bend. Stay here for 2 more breaths. Now releasing that work we've created again, take your left fingertips, thread them behind the right elbow, and then the right forearm comes in front. Start wandering the hands far away again until you're comfortable, and then just allow the chin to rest down. We'll start releasing out of this, so inchworm your way out again. When you get there, hands just come straight under the shoulders. Press your hips to heels for child's pose. Lengthen out your spine. Give your hips a little wiggle if there's any tension lying there. We'll start walking your hands towards our knees. Sit up onto your heels and then swing the legs ahead of you. Let's come into Baddha Konasana, that's cobbler pose, where you find a diamond shape in the legs, soles of the feet come to touch. You're more than welcome to sit back on that block as well if you feel any kind of tension in the low back. And we'll begin by bringing your fingertips behind you. Try to find as much length as you can. Sit nice and tall. Take a big breath in here. As you exhale, lean the heart forward. You can dome over your legs. Here for 2 more breaths. Let your exhale start lengthening again as your heart rate slows back down. So start coming back upright. Bring your hands back behind you, the fingertips face towards you, and then bring the soles of the feet to the ground. Keep a bend in the knees. Press your hands firmly into the mat and start lifting your hips up so that they're in line with the rest of your torso. For today, we're going to continue to gaze forward. Stay strong in the glutes, strong in the arms. When you're ready, we'll start sinking the hips back down. We'll come into one more forward fold. So it could be the same one, cobbler pose. I'm going to go ahead and go to a wide-legged forward fold, Uttanasana Vista Konasana. You can decide which direction you'd like to head. Wherever you are, just the fingertips draw behind again. Find that maximum length in the spine. And then you might consider walking yourself forwards over your legs once again. Try to find a little bit of softness with every exhale. We begin to walk ourselves back upright. Let's glue the legs together. And yet again, your choice. You can come into the same one with the knees bent, or perhaps the legs are long and squishing together again. Fingertips are behind you, just as we had before. Start pressing the hands into the ground. Maybe the hips lift up. So this would be reverse plank with straight legs. Otherwise, it's reverse tabletop, the first variation we did. Nice strong glutes. Keep gazing down your body towards the toes. And we'll sink the hips back to the ground. Bring a bend back into the knees. There's lots of room behind you. And we'll start rolling back. So offer something forward. All this abundance that we have, all this love to give, offer some to a friend. And we'll start lowering all the way back. When you get there, walk your feet just a little bit closer to you, so stacked under your knees. Bend into the elbows, so the fingertips point to the sky and your upper arms are resting right beside you. We'll roll through the spine a couple more times. So press into the feet, tuck your tail under, and then roll up bone by bone to a bridge, and then roll on back down. Let yourself roll through the spine a couple more times, rolling up on the inhale. And as you exhale, come on back down. Inhale to lift. And exhale to lower. We'll do one more lift. Hold that one there. And you might decide to invite a little bit more of a back bend in, where you can release the hands to the ground. Roll the shoulders under a bit more to gather them. Palms could clasp below you, or just press those palms into the ground. Keep squeezing the glutes to lift the hips just a little bit taller. And eventually separate the hands apart. Allow your hips to lower. Let your feet widen for a moment. Windshield wiper your legs from side to side to let that all go. Eventually, we'll lift your knees back up towards the sky. Feet are at hip distance again. Cross your right ankle over your left knee. Really flex into the ankle and then send the thigh away. You could stay rooted right here or float the left foot off the ground. And once again, these lots of options. So you could keep the legs really active here, really strengthening into this, not even using your hands. Or bring your hands behind the thigh and allow a little bit of the arms to do the work as well. So we're an eye of the needle, 3 different variations here. Feel free to write your own book, write your own adventure. Eventually release the foot back to the ground. Press your hands into the ground beside you again. Keep the figure 4 shape into the legs. Press your left foot into the ground. Squeeze the glutes. Maybe you lift into a little mini bridge with the figure 4 shape. And if you did that, then just lower the hips back to the ground. Now, keep the figure 4 shape for one more little pose. We're going to create cactus arms with the upper half and allow your whole set of legs to drop over to the left. So you're striving to get the right foot onto the ground. And if it doesn't quite make it there, that's okay. You can take your left hand, reach for the ankle, hold it nice and steady, and stretch the right arm over your head. Stretching out from the right hip crease through to the fingertips. While you're here, try to actively send the thigh away from you a little bit more. Big twist into the hip. We'll start releasing the sides. Bring the set of legs back on up and then untie them again, setting up for the other side. So it all begins, bending the left knee, crossing it over, finding your figure 4 shape, dorsiflex into the ankle and send that thigh away. So option A could be that with a rooted foot onto the ground. Option B, to float that leg off the ground. Don't use your arms, just the strength of your legs to hold it there. And option C, the more traditional one, to thread your hands behind the thigh for a little added support. One more breath wherever you are. And eventually we'll bring your foot back to the ground with the figure 4 shape still there. Press the hands into the ground to support you. Press your right foot into the ground, squeeze the glutes. Maybe you lift the hips up just for a moment in a figure 4 bridge. And lower everything down just as it arrived. Keeping that figure 4 shape in the legs as you find a cactus shape in the arms. This time, the set of legs drops over to the right, trying to see if the sole of the foot will find the ground. When you're there, you can see if you can hold on to your ankle and stretch the left arm overhead, finding a stretch from your left hip crease through the fingertips. Actively send the thigh away again to open up your hips a little bit more. We'll start coming out of the side, lift the legs back up, untie them, and knock your knees from side to side one more time. Let's lift the feet back up into the air. Find our happy baby pose. The hands will come from the inside to reach for your ankles or outer feet, like you're doing a big squat on the ceiling. If you've got any final sort of wiggles here, you can try to get those out by straightening one leg at a time, rocking from side to side, finding a little bit of play before we have stillness in the body. Eventually, let's bring the soles of your feet to touch in a diamond shape. We'll start lowering the feet to the ground just as they are. So you come back into a reclined cobbler pose. Now, if you know that your hips are not going to like this pose, so we can take your fists bunch them up, and then slide them underneath the meatier parts of your thighs that are kind of close to your glutes, and then let your legs open up again onto that. It just brings a little bit more support under the thighs. We won't stay here for very long, so if your hands are free, you can bring them back, one to the heart and one to the belly. And bring yourself back to that moment of knowing what you want to carry with you forward and what you're ready to leave behind into the summer. Taking a moment to appreciate those things that we already have. Now you're more than welcome for this to be your final shape, and you stay in this for the remainder of our time together. Otherwise, bringing your hands to the backs of your thighs, assisting the legs closed, and start stretching out the heels long ahead of you. Find any release in the body you can, toes fall apart, come back to your breath. Begin deepening your breath again. Letting that lift you back to the surface. Reintroducing small and familiar movements to the hands and feet. Stretching your arms overhead and toes far away. Take your time, slowly roll to one side, and we'll meet all the way in a seat. Bringing your hands to heart center, and we'll close the practice together. Taking a moment to just be present with yourself, accepting yourself for exactly who you are in this moment. Thank you very much for coming to share your practice with me and your energy with me. And I hope to see you again soon. Namaste.